Doflamingo vs. Cracker is one of the most controversial topics in the One Piece fandom because Doffy has been a fan favorite for a long time, and Cracker is, well, Cracker barely even cracked the top 100 in terms of popularity. He's even lower than Pandaman. I don't even understand how. If you want to see any more 1v1 battles with other One Piece characters, drop a comment down below and let me know 2 characters you want to see featured in a video. Alright, so I'm actually not surprised people believe Doffy is stronger. He was the arc focus and he's a fan favorite. I'm going to break this down and explain why Doflamingo does not even stand a chance. So there's some common arguments I hear about Luffy versus Doflamingo. People like to point out that Law helped Luffy defeat Doflamingo and that Luffy would have lost without Law. That's not entirely true, and I'll break down why it doesn't matter to begin with. Doflamingo also went out of his way to point out that Luffy has taken heavy damage, implying that Luffy was not fighting at full strength to begin with, and we already know Luffy was fighting in the whole Coliseum before fighting Doflamingo, so that kind of checks out. And another thing to consider before this video is that Whole Cake Island is 2 arcs after Dressrosa, which means that Luffy is more powerful than he was against Doflamingo. There's also evidence to support this that I'll show later on. But that's all the common excuses I hear, so let me just settle this debate by breaking it down into some categories. Alright, in terms of strength, Cracker himself is stronger than Doffy. Just to give a minor example, Cracker was able to almost cut off Luffy's arm after he performed a con gun. In comparison to Doffy, we have this scene right here where Doffy lands a direct kick on Luffy's torso and fails to do any damage at all. So Cracker is physically stronger than Doflamingo with or without his biscuit soldiers. It's impossible to even wink Doffy in this scenario. It's just a straight up different weight class. He can't even hurt Luffy at all, whereas Cracker is almost cutting off Luffy's limbs. So Cracker's natural strength outclasses Doffy by so much it's actually pretty laughable. When it comes to speed, I was going to give it to Doffy because of his versatility, but I want to point out that Doffy is actually not fast enough to seriously challenge Cracker, and it's not really going to decide the fight. If Cracker was slower than Doffy, Luffy would have ran laps around Cracker, and clearly that didn't happen. So Cracker was fast enough to fight Luffy on an even level multiple times. Doffy was literally getting blindsided by Gear 4 Luffy. Another big thing we have to understand is that Luffy was not as good with Gear 4 in Dressrosa as he was in Whole Cake. Luffy gets stronger arc after arc, and he gets better with his abilities. That's how it's always been. So Cracker is up against a more powerful version of Luffy than Doflamingo was. These guys are literally just not in the same league. Alright, so now it's time to talk durability, and this is going to be my favorite. A lot of people seem to believe that Doflamingo is a tank, and the truth is he's not. In base form, Luffy was able to damage Doflamingo repeatedly on his own without the help of Law. So the fact is, even in base form, Luffy is strong enough to damage Doflamingo, meaning his durability is not anywhere near the biscuit soldiers. Now let's talk about the real tank, Charlotte Cracker. When it comes to defense, he actually has one of the best we've ever seen in the story, and that is because his Cracker biscuits are for some reason insanely durable, and he can make so many of them. Cracker was literally tanking Gear 3 attacks like it was nothing, brushing off a whole elephant gun. Base form Luffy can't even do a lick of damage to Cracker's biscuits, unlike Doflamingo, who was getting punched up by a weaker version of Luffy. Luffy also couldn't get through the toughness of Cracker's arm and Haki and his biscuits combined. Luffy went as far as to say Cracker's arm and Haki is stronger than anything he's come across. There is another translation where he just says the armament is too hard, and it really doesn't matter which translation you use because the point stands. Luffy had no trouble dealing damage to Doflamingo in base form, and he never mentioned the toughness of Doflamingo's Haki even once. So it's obvious who Luffy thinks has stronger Haki. Now this is actually a really good segue into Haki. Off the bat, you would immediately assume Doflamingo has stronger Haki, but that's not really true. Observation Haki is completely irrelevant for this battle because neither of them have an affinity for it and they barely use it. Conqueror's Haki is the main reason why people think Doffy's Haki is stronger, but Doflamingo's Conqueror's Haki is useless against someone like Cracker, and it means nothing until the Wano arc. So while Doffy might have a stronger ambition, Cracker has stronger arm and Haki. And to be honest, that's all that matters, because unless Doflamingo has an advanced form of Conqueror's Haki, Cracker has stronger Haki where it matters. Alright, now for the final part, I want to talk about endurance. When Gear 4 came out, Doffy was completely outclassed. Luffy went as far as to tell Doffy he's not in his league, and of course for the people who like to say Luffy needed to use Gear 4 twice to beat Doffy, that isn't entirely true. It also doesn't really matter that Luffy needed to use Gear 4 twice, because in Whole Cake, Luffy has much better control of his gears and was using them on and off throughout the entire arc. Whole Cake Luffy wouldn't have this problem against Doflamingo, meaning he wouldn't have needed Gear 4 more than once. Now looking at Luffy vs. Cracker, this panel clearly says the fight has been going on for 11 hours, so it was off screen for most of the battle because Luffy was literally stuck. He was forced to eat Cracker's biscuits because of Cracker's endless army of soldiers, so he had to fight Cracker for a lot longer than he did with Doffy. Now some people will say that Luffy was just eating biscuits for 11 hours straight and that they weren't actually fighting. Nami is the reason Luffy is able to eat the biscuits, which means that without Nami, his only other option would have been to use Gear 4. And I know that some people like to point out that Law needed to help Luffy in order to beat Doflamingo, but this point wouldn't make a difference in the debate because it's very clear that without Nami, Luffy would not be able to beat Cracker. Cracker. Just because Luffy took a break against Doffy does not mean anything. He needed way more breaks against Cracker. And the biggest difference between Doffy and Cracker is that Luffy didn't need a break against Doffy because he was too strong. He took a break because he ran out of stamina. He could barely control Gear 4th. It wasn't like Doffy was actually putting up a fight. Luffy actually needed a break against Cracker because Cracker was holding his own. These are two different scenarios. Cracker is actually putting up a fight, whereas Doflamingo was getting beat up. Alright, so this is where Tankman comes in, and I hear this one more than anything. Cracker got one-shotted. It's not even like Doffy can match this attack to begin with, because I don't even know how long Dressrosa was entirely, but I know he fought Doffy for a lot less than he fought Cracker. So regardless, it wouldn't even make sense to say this because it's not like Doffy can last against Gear 4 for more than an hour at best. Now I want to explain the point of Tankman. If this were one of Cracker's biscuits, this attack would have been useless because Cracker can make infinite biscuits. Luffy had to use a different fighting style in order to beat Cracker, which is why he turned his defense into offense. And because he's so durable, he was able to absorb Cracker's attack and blow him away. Doffy would never be able to tank anything Cracker does, so it really doesn't mean anything if you believe Cracker got one-shot or not, because Doffy, for one, doesn't have the power to one-shot Cracker, and he isn't even strong enough to compete in any other way. So in conclusion, Doffy does not have what it takes to beat Cracker. His Haki's not stronger, he's not faster, he's not more durable. The only real chance he has is using his awakening, but then again, we've seen Luffy effortlessly get through Doflamingo's awakening and blitz him with his forehead, but couldn't do the same things to Cracker. So even if it was 16 holy bullets, it really wouldn't matter that much. The only way to beat Cracker is to fight his real body, which Doffy would not be able to get to because even Luffy couldn't do that. And even if he did, he wouldn't be able to match Cracker's strength. There's literally no way that this fight could end up in Doflamingo's favor. Even if Doffy figured out Cracker's fighting style, he would run out of stamina, whereas Cracker fought someone more powerful than Doffy for longer than Doffy fought Luffy. So there's literally no way he would get tired from fighting Doflamingo. But yeah, that's all I got for today's video. If you guys think otherwise, drop a comment down below and let me know your opinions. I don't think this fight would even be close, but that's up to you guys to decide. So drop a comment down below and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.